Hey guys, so one of you had asked me to do a video talking about this asshole over here, James Saroka, and until this point I had no idea who he was. I mean, I know who Repzion is, and Repzion is doing this entire series about him, started a year ago, so that kind of says something. Omegon, I had to watch him. His was basically Cliff Note version of it. So James Saroka is a YouTuber, or at this point was a YouTuber, because beating pregnant wife, sharing videos of abuse online. So, but let's see what.
Having a large selection of flooring
Stop it
choices
with the
at the
bullshit.
most competitive pricing. Come visit our showroom and let us make your home or
I can't
office
stand
beautiful.
ads anymore.
But first,
we stumbled upon the makings of a cult, I think.
Rogers County deputies arrest a man accused of beating his pregnant wife, but they quickly learned that victim had been missing from Pennsylvania for 3 years.
then, investigators say they found dozens of videos on the internet of James Saroka mentally and emotionally abusing his wife.
Investigators tell News on 6's Reagan Ledbetter this is a dark story that just keeps getting darker. Reagan?
Craig and Lori, in these videos posted to social media, Saroka repeatedly yells and cusses at the victim, calls her names, and berates her. Investigators say Saroka completely cut her off from the outside world, but because of Oklahoma law, Saroka is only in jail on a misdemeanor.
And you're gonna do better, you're gonna be better, you're going to get kicked out. I'm going to call the police and let them know I'm abusing you. Stop looking at me. I don't want your looks. I don't want you watching my screen. Hit a woman. So it's kind of like forgiveness is a necessity.
These are just a few of the many videos all over the internet that Rogers County deputies call absolutely disturbing.
Let me talk, you be quiet, and then pretend like I abused you. Because you think you've won right now, and you're choosing to be a victim. So go be a victim.
When you see the mental and emotional abuse that he's exposed her to, and the whole way he's just been digging his hooks into her deeper and, brainwashing her.
Deputies say a witness saw Saroka beating on his pregnant wife as they were walking along Highway 20 in Claremore on Sunday. When deputies got there, Saroka refused to talk to them, and the victim kept asking Saroka for permission to talk. That's when deputies knew something was wrong and say she showed signs of battered women syndrome.
It's a textbook example of it. She's afraid of talking to the outside world. She's has no control over the finances. She has no control over what she can do or where she can go.
Deputies later learned the victim's family had been searching for her for the last 3 years. They say Saroka and the victim have been traveling around the country, living in hotels.
As a prosecutor, it's hard when you see what we consider to be violent crimes that are classified nonviolent, and domestic abuse on a pregnant woman is a perfect example of that.
Now, there has been a movement on social media to get Saroka completely removed from the internet. Now, the maximum punishment Saroka faces is up to 1 year in county jail and a fine. Now, I have reached out to the jail staff to ask Saroka for an interview, but he declined that request. Live in Rogers County, Reagan Ledbetter, Oklahoma Zone, News on 6.
So basically, he's a piece of fucking shit, and people are gonna blame Kate, saying, "Oh well, she put up with it and this and that." Sometimes, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I understand how the brain works, but look at a lot of these cases with these abused women. They could easily go at any time, but for some reason they feel like one of my friends was in that kind of situation. It wasn't this severe. The guy was abusive. The guy was forcing her to do things that she wouldn't normally do, and we're all saying, "Hey, he's not good for you." It's like, "Oh, well, I feel bad for him. If I leave him, he doesn't have anyone else." It's like, he's abusive. Just fucking leave him. So some of these girls, they feel like it's an obligation, and like, some guys are like, "Oh yeah, if you leave me, I'm gonna fucking kill myself," and blah, 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 and all these other just hollow threats. And the fact is, it's manipulation, and these women, sadly, don't realize that they're being manipulated. And even when they do realize it, they refuse to do anything. It's because it's become who they are. This, they're so used to being manipulated and, cut off from the outside world and forced to do things that it's and it's sad that people have to go through that. And obviously it happens to men too, obviously. But at first you think, okay, maybe this is just a persona, because there are people on YouTube who will do this bickering back and forth and this fake abuse and stuff for views. But no, this dude is genuinely a piece of shit. He is genuinely an abuser, and he admits to it. Numerous times he admitted to it. We can also enlarge this again. So some of the things he said: you're going to do better, be better, or you're going to fuck off. You're going to get kicked out. I am going to call the police and let them know I'm abusing you. Because, a totally sane person would totally do that. Stop looking at me, and this is all the stuff that we heard, but just really gives you an insight. Stop looking at me. I don't want your looks. I don't want you watching my screen. I want you watching my screen. I genuinely want to block you. I hit a woman, so forgiveness is kind of a necessity. What? And also the fact that they clearly noticed her behavior as not some sort of act, but something they see as a common occurrence of women who have been abused. Her asking him if she can speak, asking permission. This woman is clearly not, and if you remember, Onision was doing the same thing with his partner. The same fucking thing. Not letting her go out, trying to keep her manipulated. And, Repzion is saying this guy's actually worse than Onision. And I can see why. So when the police show up and see him smacking her around, she's pregnant, smacking her around, and she's asking for permission from him to talk to them. Like I said, for YouTube, sometimes people think, oh, it's just a staged thing. You see these couples with I'm a prank and that prank, and it's all good fun. But here we have a woman who's legitimately suffering real abuse, who, as soon as the cops started talking to her, they knew exactly what was happening. And this has gone on, like I said, the first one of Repzion, let's see. Repzion. So this one is the current one. Go ahead and enlarge that. So the James Saroka files. So that's episode 3. Let's see here. Repzion, Union Boy. James Saroka files number 2, 1 year ago. So, just that long ago. Okay, so the James Saroka files, a worse Onision, episode 1 year ago. So this dude has been a piece of shit for quite some time. Now, you have certain types of people on the internet, especially here on YouTube, who are just pieces of shit. You have people like J Station who are using people's deaths as a way to make money off his fucking crappy ass videos. And then you have this guy who is a full-on fucking abuser, who somehow still has a channel, who still has the media, social media influence. His wife is petrified to talk to anyone without his fucking permission. Being smacked around is a normal thing for her, and she's basically probably just come to accept it. One of those freaking women who say, well, he's a great guy. He just gets angry a lot, sometimes, and he'll accidentally hit me, but then he apologizes. He's really not like that. It's like, yeah, well, how often does he get angry and accidentally hit you? It happens several times a week. Well, then it's not an accident. He's just a full-blown fucking douchebag. But like I said, these people, it's become so ingrained in who they are that they just accept it. they have people reaching out, and obviously not for her case because people thought her family didn't even know where the fuck she was. But you have people, like I said, in a situation, I had a friend who was doing the same thing. Not to this extent, but I mean, she was getting, she was drunk all the fucking time. She had never smoked, like cigarettes and everything, but she was smoking all the fucking time. She became extremely sexual, like more sexual than she would normally be. And I'm like, this guy, he's abusing you. You're not who you really are. It's like, well, he doesn't have anyone. His family life, it's not that great. I'm like, okay, what's your point? So what are you gonna do? Keep staying with him, making yourself miserable? I mean, that's essentially what happened. But they come to accept it and accept it as reality and their normal life. And then when people try to help them, they make excuses for these fucking people. They make excuses like that whole, oh, sometimes he just gets mad and hits me. He apologizes, but it was my fault for speaking out. It was my mistake, and I shouldn't have done it. How many times have you heard that? It's my mistake. You're the one who got smacked, and you're saying it was your mistake. So, this dude is a complete fucking waste of space. He's a waste of breath, waste of air, waste of molecular construction. This dude needs to go away for quite some time because he's a complete and utter piece of garbage shit human being. And he doesn't need to be with the population because, yeah, she could leave him, yeah. But guess what? People like him are going to find others to do it to. Once the person that they've been manipulating for so long finally wises up and leaves or is forcibly taken from them, they just move on to someone else. Like I said, Onision did the same fucking thing. It's just how the manipulators work. And I don't want anyone saying, oh, he's had a hard childhood in his life. No. There are plenty of people who have a hard life who don't grow up to be fucking douchebags, who grow up to be perfectly fine citizens who don't smack around their pregnant wives. So I don't even want to hear that bullshit. Don't even try to justify for this guy. I'm sure there are people who try to justify for him, say, oh, well, if she learned to do this. No, there's no reason for you to smack her around. No fucking reason. And it's not just the smacking. Like I said, he's manipulating her. It's like, she can't go out. She can't even fucking talk to someone else without his fucking permission. Okay, so it's a little more extreme. So there's no way of defending this. And if you do defend it, I pray that you're single. Because you should not be around anyone if you think this is perfectly fine. And, okay, so sorry for getting a little more worked up about this one. I can't stand people like this. I don't tolerate abusers. I don't tolerate people who manipulate others to do things like that, to make them feel like shit all the fucking time. Like I said, because I personally have dealt with it with someone. I don't appreciate it. I don't have respect for that person anymore. And God help him if I ever had the mispleasure of meeting him. I would be the one being arrested. Let me just tell you that. But there are just some things like topics like this and animal cruelty. Or stuff like with Barbara, abuse towards the elderly. I can't tolerate that. There are some people who can keep a calm demeanor about it. I can't do it. It pisses me off when people take advantage of others who clearly cannot defend themselves. Also note, I'm not going to do any animal abuse stuff on this channel. And if I did, it would just be talking about it. I wouldn't be showing about anything because I would probably break my fucking computer. Because when I see animal abuse like that, I get to the point where I have to punch something. So there's not going to be any videos of animal abuse and stuff like that. I'm not showing that shit. No, that gets me too fucking worked up. But this guy is a complete fucking piece of shit. If you know anyone like this guy, or you know anyone who's like Kate in the situation where they're with this piece of shit human being and they can't, they feel like they can't escape, extend some help towards them. Let them know that there is a way out. Let them know there are people who are there. Let them know that this guy that they're with is a manipulative fuck stain, and the only way he's going to get what's coming toward him is if you stand up to him. Stop giving in. So if you know anyone like him, call them out. If you know anyone who's like Kate and they're being abused, stand up for them, because they're not going to stand up for themselves. They never do. And when they do stand up for themselves, it usually results in murder. Because they get to the point where they feel like there's no other choice other than murdering the person who's abusing them. And, we certainly wouldn't... Does he deserve it? I don't know. That's to be seen. But I certainly wouldn't want Kate living with the guilt of murder on her conscience, her conscience for the rest of her life. Because that will eat away at her. She'll think, okay, maybe there was another choice. And so, if you know someone like her, intervene before it's too late, before the other person gets murdered, and then the person who's been abused feels even worse. But this dude's a fucking piece of shit. So yeah, sorry the working up and all that. But I might stay up to date with this guy. I just heard about him today. This is the first time I've heard about this guy. But yeah. We got nothing else. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.